simply because we actually, I mean, all you can do is execute what your skill set is, right? And I honestly believe for the large majority of the 150 overs we were in the field, we did that. Um, Mate, it was cracking flags. It was so hot for a couple of days down in Brighton. Hove is really nice, but you got the culmination of a Kookaburra ball, which we're still trying to get used to. You've got pitches that don't bounce, which you guys do. Um, we had skillful bowlers, but we probably just lacked a little bit a bowler that could hit the deck hard to make something happen. I was really proud of the way that we just kept persevering and kept to simple plans, but with I'm not sure that there's a lot of debate at the moment about whether the experiment with the Kookaburra is working. If you have a look at this last round of championship matches, I think it's broke the record for the number of runs that's been scored in the first innings across the country. So
Sorry, you scored 800.
Surrey 800, Kent, Worcester, who have been struggling a little bit, to be fair to them. They both got 600, I think, something like that. It's a really interesting experiment using this ball. It really is, because it's made us have a look at, okay, is this experiment going away with the Kookaburra ball? And if it's not, what do we need to add? What have we got coming up through our own pathway, and what might we need to add to the squad as well? So it's from that point of view, it's been really interesting.
I feel like obviously the reason is to expose people's like the ball that they use in Australia, but I feel like the Australian conditions these days are way more tougher battle than they're way more bowler friendly right now. Like it nips around, it's faster wickets. So we don't really have flatties in Australia anymore. Like we would have seen the scores over the last few summers. Like 250 is a good score these days. And if you get 300, then you're pretty much close. So it's a different game. So
it's really interesting speaking with Corey, because he was saying exactly that. The pitches in Australia are so different. So you can still work with a Kookaburra ball that is getting soft and is soft, because you get bounce, and as soon as you get bounce, you're still in the game big time. So I feel for the lads. Corey did really well. He got 6 wickets again in the first innings. He was loving it, mate. He bowled 52 overs in the first innings.
crazy.
I'm expecting to get a call from. He plays WA, doesn't he? I'm expecting from his a call from his bowling coach, but by all accounts, they much prefer him playing. They're bowling that amount of overs in a match as opposed to a net. But yeah, so we got back late last night. But yeah, looking forward to this call. Be another goodie.
Absolutely, mate. 100%. It's one thing I'm interested in now is like going on this stuff is like what would be like an ideal type of bowler? Like it's about like the makeup of the team. Like what would the ideal type of bowlers you would have in a 4-man bowling attack that you would like for these sort of conditions?
Well, there's so many variables in the game of cricket, right? So, are we talking Duke's ball or Kookaburra?
Like this, like Kookaburra ball, these dry, like these slow wickets, or
So
that down.
So we've played Somerset and we've played Sussex. Both attacks. So Sandhu, Robinson, guy called Crocombe. So Sandhu and Robinson have height, so they had bounce, and they got us in a little bit of trouble. But they got skill because they kept this ball swinging and nipping, albeit slowly. And Crocombe was interesting because he had a little bit more pace, and often use that pace to go up here, right? And those aggressive short spells. So what are we looking for? And last week, Matt Henry, Craig Overton, Miguel Pretorius, quicker bowlers right through the air. So I reckon kookaburra balls. One, you're looking at, working with the groundsman. What can you give us? Whether it's how they cut the grass, how much they roll the wicket. Do they start with a soft wicket to make it nip around more, which could nullify what the kookaburra ball could do? Do we use a used wicket? So our next game is at Edgbaston in 3 weeks' time. So do we use the test wicket that they're currently playing on to bring spin into play? So the ideal, there's loads of discussions around it, and I think that you go horses for courses. What the opposition got, you know, what the if like Sussex had, I think 5 left-handers in the top 7 or so. So who are the bowlers that we've got that bowl really well against left-handers that show that in their career? Um, who are the bowlers that keep the game quiet? Who are the bowlers that out of nowhere make something happen in the game to grab momentum? And even if you bowl like 3 overs of bounces, but you don't take a wicket, the speed of the game, just the momentum just changes, right? There's clapping, there's, people getting hit, there's physios going on and stuff. It just changes the complex of the game. So I reckon there's what have we got in front of us? And then you kind of give the best match possible for, um, for the information we've got. I reckon you're looking at tall bowlers, hard wickets, grassy wickets, to just add pace, not necessarily much sideways. And then I reckon you're looking for a skillful left arm bowler to create rough for an off spinner. And then you've got some right arm bowlers, and maybe you've got, maybe a part time developing left arm spinner in there as well. Or you go the other way around and you have an overseas left arm, a bit like Corey, but left arm. And you've got developing like we have in Rob Yates, a developing off spinner as well. And then when you start talking about, a Duke's ball that lasts longer, you can keep the lacquer on. It's a taller seam, so it swings, it nips for longer, even on softer wickets. You're then looking at a slightly different skill set. You can go for your shorter, more skillful seam bowler and also swing bowler as well. It's really interesting. I don't think in this day and age you can just have a group of like 6 or 7 bowlers that can bowl in every condition. I think we're past that in just the landscape of the game and the schedule as well. I mean, I got home last night at 10:30. Might have a session this morning with our overseas player because we got T20 tomorrow night. So I reckon, yeah, you're almost looking for 3 or 4 white ball specialists, and then you have, 6 to 8 red ball bowlers that you kind of take around with you, have a look at what's in front of you. I really do. But it's a mixture of pace, right arm, left arm, and then later in the game, spin, mate. I really do. Honestly.
It's so different, isn't it, to like traditional like trips balls, seaming depths. Like you'd almost feel like you got to probably be looking for some sort of like long term clarity on what the schedule or what the conditions are going to be, because it probably would affect how you start looking at developing bowlers from an academy level, or talent ID point of view as well, and how you might want a bit more pace, or you might want accuracy is going to go back to the juries. Like it's really interesting, isn't it? Like it is, like you can really build a squad out, but you need time to develop kids, don't you?
It's a long-term project, that one. I mean, I have discussions about that. What are the skills that we need? We've touched on this before. What are the skills that we need, or even think we might need in 5 years' time? And what gaps have we filled in those skills? What have we got already, and what do we need? Right, let's get our scouts out there looking for these people, and almost form a fast bowling academy that sits outside of our main county academy. And once you've got that running with the right people, teaching and coaching, what do you think? What's the difference between teaching and coaching? from your point of view?
Probably not too much, I'd say. I think I don't want to say they're almost the same thing. I suppose. I think teaching, if you want to go like semantics, teaching is probably more like you're like, imparting your ways onto somebody, and then like coaching is more like you're working together to get the best out of them. I'm not sure actually. I think you can use them pretty synonymously, but I think they can be like synonyms, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you. I think I putting things simply in my head, because that's the only way that I can operate. I think that at the lower end of the scale, you're teaching. You know, there's not much conversation. There's obviously communication and rapport and trust and all this kind of stuff that goes throughout, whatever age you're working with. But I think you teach people how to run at a younger age, teach people how to move, you teach a grip, you teach an upright seam. And then I think there's a point, isn't there, where you want them to make their own decisions when they get on the field, right? And so therefore there's a point that you pick up instinctively where it might be a 11 or even a 12-year-old, based on their maturity and their kind of interaction. There's a point where you start asking them questions to get their thoughts, because then they're having to make their own decisions. And I think there's a very subtle transition from teaching, I want you to do this is why I want you to do it, as opposed to, okay, this is the drill. What do you think you're getting from this one? I think there's just a subtle kind of shift, I think, in the way that you might work with somebody.
Yeah, I think I actually had like some really good results last Saturday when I was taking me guys for like a sprinting session. And I'm reading some books recently around like motor learning and also like sports psychology and stuff like that. And I was trying to make them not think about how they're running and more like just naturally run, but with like trying to create feeling, like feel bouncy, feel smooth, effortless, stuff like that. And rather than me saying, all right, get your knee up or make your arm here, I was coaching more being relaxed and stuff like that. And what I do, I was just let them run a rep like a 60-meter sprint, and I wouldn't say anything. I'm like, cool, what'd that feel like?
No, no.
Yeah, awesome. I'll show them a video because these guys have been, we've been training for a few months now. So we sort of know what good mechanics looks like. I'm like, okay. I'm like, cool. That's what it felt like. This is what it looked like. Didn't say anything. Cool. Go back. Go again. And same thing happened. Cool. How'd that feel? Awesome. This is what it looked like. And like, I didn't like really tell them what to do. I just gave them the tools to self-analyze. And they actually like, it was the best everyone had run um,
Really?
through the whole widget here. So I was like, yeah, that's awesome. Like, it was like, I'm not sure I could have done that at the start because they wouldn't have known what was good, what was bad. But when
Yeah,
they like more of an expert,
yeah,
their self-organization was elite. Like, it was easily the best everyone's run, and everyone's moving so nicely.
really. I think it's easy in this day and age because we've become, science has given us so many things that we all use, right? But it's easy to um, almost make the mistake of, you got an adult in front of you, but they need to be taught. It's easy to make the mistake. Oh no, I can't upset them. I can't say it that way because it might trigger them, and they go, well, I might lose them, and all this kind of stuff. It can be easy to make a really innocent mistake by choosing a slightly wrong approach. And I think, we're learning about the brain, we're learning about people, we're learning about emotions and feelings and all this kind of stuff, and they are all really, really important. But I sometimes think that we lose that. No, just do this. Just do this. Trust me on this. It's going to feel awkward. It's going to feel horrible. Um, you're going to question me all the time, but do you trust me? And I think that sometimes we just go right back to, no, you just do this, mate. You just do this. Uh, I really like what you just said there about, well, we talk about using cues a lot, don't we? How does that feel? Does it feel that you can go fast? Does it feel like you're slowing down? How does it feel with your posture? I really like did you use that approach quite a lot? How does that feel as opposed to this is, yeah, and then you match a kind of a visual for how people are feeling, don't you?
Absolutely. I think like, when you're in the middle, like when you're in the middle, you can only really, if you go back to what it feels like, get the feeling back, that's when it becomes a lot more repeatable. You can get more in that like that flow state people talk about. Because everyone talks about the best ever bowled, oh, I wasn't thinking about anything. I was just riding and bowling. It just felt really good.
Yeah,
But then we like and like not thinking and obviously overthinking is the two opposite ends of the spectrum. Then we often try to overthink ourselves back to good form,
yeah,
whereas it's about being more of aware how things feel and then making, those slight adjustments based off that. And
yeah,
I think one thing you said, what I love too was when someone's like new and starting and they're like, you sort of just go, yeah, no, just do like this. I've had exactly the same kid as well, where he's been a little bit inconsistent with his running and that. And I've gone the same thing. I'm like, look, whatever you're doing right now, I don't want your running to ever feel like that ever again because it's pretty average. I'm like, we're going to get a new feeling and I want you to like, think about this, have this cube. He did it. And then like, he like half did it. He's like, geez, that felt weird. I'm like, oh, we're not even halfway there yet. I want you to like times that by 10 and make it lean into that weirdness and go more, like make that feel weird and more awkward because that looks better than what you did before, but I can tell you're only like half-assing it.
yeah,
And then, oh, okay, cool. So you must be able to say, no, what that feels like? That's shit. Let's change that.
yeah. You want in order to run different, in order to lift different, you have to become a different person. If you want to develop a new slower ball, you have to become a different bowler. You have to add something to what you've already got. And sometimes, and that's where if you set the session up, I think, in a very safe way, um, they have to accept that in order to become something different, it's going to feel weird. It's going to be terrible. You're gonna feel out of rhythm. Rhythm is something I hear so much. I felt in good rhythm. Okay, great. I'm pleased for you, but those are the days and those are the spells where you absolutely look to cash in, but you don't force cashing in. You just allow it to happen, sort of thing. But by the way, most of the time you're gonna feel out of rhythm. Rhythm is going to be one of those things that you can kind of sense and feel, but it's always slightly out of reach. And then sometimes you go into that zone where you don't think about anything, and those are the times where you're gliding across the floor, your legs feel light, the keeper takes it up here as opposed to down by their knees, and those are the times you catch in. But actually, do you know what, Jace? I really like setting up practices purpose purposefully where bowlers are not going to get anywhere near feeling rhythm, because that is reality for most days.
That is spot on. I love that too.
Can you imagine um, uh, Ollie Hannon Dolby, who bowled I think 30 overs across 2 days, feeling consistent rhythm on the back of being in the field all day, and then no, I need bowlers cannot expect to only get their best performances in rhythm. It doesn't happen. So therefore, we're going to train out of rhythm. And I do stupid stuff, less so with the pros, to be honest, um, but more with younger bowlers. I just put a hurdle in the middle of their run, just scramble their possible chance of rhythm where they, because that might be, on some outfields here, even in some club pitches, you've got sprinklers or some sort of, ridge just before you hit the block. At Hove, you run downhill and then you've got a flatter block and then you go downhill again. So depending on whether you're running downhill or uphill, you've got always things to contend with. So I like, now you're going to do this today. I want you to skip halfway in your run up, and then you've got to find your run up again.
Mate. Like that is like backed by science so much as well. So the motor learning and that, as you'd be aware of, is like you need to have some variability
Yeah.
in training because I read this book called Why We Move. It's like a motor learning skill development book, unbelievable, and it talks about like we talk about having like repeatable bowling actions and but the actual like if you actually got a kilogram, no one really bowls the exact same action twice. They're similar,
No.
but based on that, you talk about conditions, how long the grass is, up or down, how wet the ground is. You know, is it the front foot grippy or is it slippery? You know, is it new shoes? Like, every time you bowl, you are a different person, and it's slightly different.
Mm.
And the best bowlers in the world are the ones who have done the variability and done the variability in their training where they can still perform in multiple different ways. I think it's a great way to think about it. It was using example of like, the person who's best in the world of hitting a hammer, right? You, every time smacks a bang in the middle. You'd think that the pattern would be the exact same, like of his elbow and his shoulder, and the wrist will flick at the exact same time. Did 100, 100 were all completely different, but he still smacked them all in the middle, flush, every single time.
Yeah.
It's like, crap, I've never thought of it like that. And that's where that variability comes in. Can you still bowl 135 top of off with a hurdle on the way? Can you still do it, by skipping in at the start and you do it kind of uphill, downhill? Can you do it old ball, new ball?
Yeah.
Can you do the task in multiple different ways? I think that was really interesting. And now, even for like batting and that, it was like, you don't want to have one dumb cover drive. You want to have like 1,000 different cover drives and pick the right one in the right situation. It's it really opened the eyes that like adding more variability to training, like creating chaos, and that's like stimulates better learning and development and just better players.
So length is length. The game for hundreds of years, people at bowlers at the top of their game live at the top of the stumps, right? The game evolves around the top of off stump. If you're bowling with a Duke's ball, that's going to it's a high end skill. People underestimate how do you get the ball into the top of off stump when the ball is swinging. That's why there aren't many bowlers out there that can do that. Where those orange targets that we put on top of off stump, and actually now we talk about new batters hitting the inside of off stump. And then some batters, depending on their bat swing and all this kind of stuff, we're shaving the outside of off stump. So we're actually talking about subtle changes in line. But if the ball is swinging, it's not going to swing the same amount every ball, right? And every ball you bowl, it gets slightly older. So the skill of swing, that's why Jimmy Anderson was just an absolute freak, because he got the ball swinging, kept it swinging. You could argue all sorts of things about the Duke ball and all that kind of stuff, but actually he proved it around the world. Get the ball swinging laterally and keep it swinging. But then in this last round of matches, Kookaburra ball, you take swing out of it. All right, we might, in this last game, it's shaped for like 2 overs. Now, if the game still evolves around the top of off stump, and you're getting tired because you've got all those overs in your legs and things. Now, what does winning look like? Okay, with a Kookaburra ball, we might just have to be disciplined for longer. Those periods of stopping the batter scoring, because they lose patience, they want to score, all that kind of stuff. We just have to extend those periods where we stay disciplined in what we're doing. And can we get the ball into the top of off stump and into the stump slightly different? So then we start talking about, creating angles. It's really creative conversations. Can we create angles? Can we bowl an off cutter so it still goes into off stump? Can we take pace off the ball? All this kind of stuff. So, you know, the game revolves around the top off stump, and then it comes back to what you guys can do, S&C, to help bowlers, and with what we're going through here at the moment. Can we lengthen spells? Can we lengthen their ability, their strength, their power, and their endurance? Because we're now expecting them to bowl more overs, so longer spells, to still perform a skill, but knowing that actually every ball they bowl is slightly different. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. I think a lot of it's just making a more efficient athlete that like doesn't use as much energy
Yeah,
to do the tasks that it wants. So it's like you want to be fitter, but you can also, improve someone's running mechanics so they're more efficient. So every step costs less energy to the body, and or if it makes someone more powerful or better off the ground, then that means that to run the same pace, it's less cost, it's less relative percentage to the max speed, or you know what I mean? Like you need to increase build the athlete up, then each that they could do is either less effort or less relative effort, or if you build the athlete up more, then like you can do the same amount of effort and have higher outputs.
yes,
You can sort of pick your poison based on the day. It's like on a flat wicket, you might want that higher output, so you can get the ball coming through a bit higher.
yeah,
Other days, you might be able to, you might want longer sustained effort, but just having the gears and having the physical capabilities to go up or down based on the conditions, I reckon is pretty
yeah,
important.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's really interesting. We were going to touch. Seb's just come down. Actually, he's always an early riser, but I've been away for a few days, so I need to go and see him. We we're on a live. Um, we were going to touch on back foot contact, weren't we? Um, we might have to. We might have to delay that until next week. We've covered quite a lot there, but make sure there's a few people on here now. So we've just gone through teaching versus coaching from a gym point of view, as well as from a kind of a skills point of view with me. And this is where the conversations with support staff, and you've got the player right in the middle. You've got S&C, you've got the coaches, you've got skill acquisition, you've got team managers, or this kind of whatever is relevant for the level that the player is, fielding coaches, the level that the player is playing. This is all relevant, because if you are I've picked up anything with the way that you would be working with an athlete in the gym, that you think, actually, that's quite interesting. I've picked this up with this player. You communicate it to me. This is why it's really important. So nobody is in isolation. We're all kind of working together. Right, Barnesy? I've gone quite easy on him in the gym there. Feel free to push him hard on the dance floor or in the net, sort of thing. And this is where comms between support staff is so important. Hello, mate. Yeah.
I did two Spider-Man puzzles.
Did you? Do you want to tell Jace? Do you want to tell him? Do you want to show him? Doing what you were doing.
Hello? What's that? Spider-Man.
What is that?
Puzzle.
What?
Hello?
Who's on the puzzle?
Spider-Man and baddies.
Spider-Man and baddies.
Okay. And that one first, and then that one.
Right. I want you to come and show me. I'm just going to say goodbye here, and then I'm going to come in. Okay.
Okay. I'm going to show you how to do it.
Okay. It's very methodical. Problem solver. Problem solver. Yeah. So I was just kind of bringing things to an end for this call. Teaching versus coaching. I'm going to put something together on that, and just chat, because I think it's a really important point. I think there is a difference, and your answer was a quality one as well. Train out of rhythm, the variability. I've made a note of this. So every step costs less energy to the body. Wow. You know, there's various ways of saying the same things, but that anyone who watches this, be curious and ask the question of exactly that. What do I need to do with my S&C coach, Jason Cox, or Stuart Barnes in terms of an efficient action? And we will definitely touch on back foot contact position. How do we prevent a bowler from hanging on their heel and help them stay on the ball of their foot, which is the accelerator, which costs less energy? Amazing. I love it. I love it. Okay, mate, listen, it feels like a short call, this, but we do cram in quite a lot.
We do.
Good
35.
Yeah, I hope you guys all enjoyed that. But high performance cricket, make sure you follow him. There's loads of really good things. Everyone is quite interesting because lots of your posts cross over massively with the stuff that I'm talking about, and people cannot underestimate specific S&C coaching for fast bowlers, running, moving. It cannot be separate, especially with the way the game is going. So yeah, quality, mate.
Mate, great stuff, Dad. And same goes as having a fast bowling coach available to you who's in professional sport, in professional cricket, to help club cricketers is invaluable as well. Tactics, technique. It's the definition of professional level coaching to the amateur cricketer, which is awesome, just so good.
Well, we'll continue this chat, and yeah, next Thursday for sure. I'm actually really interested in how I can complement what you do about that back foot contact position, because I see so many bowlers that slow down, lose energy, get their energy towards the floor as opposed to along the wicket, simply because of the way they land on their back foot. So that's going to be an interesting one.
Love it. Looking forward to that one already.
All right, good man. Thanks, mate.
See you, mate.
Cheers. See you. Bye. Hope you enjoyed that. This call is going to be sent and shared on the Substack. I've got to shoot. Got to go do a Spider-Man puzzle.